You're listening to the Vacation Rental Key with T&T, the podcast for vacation rental managers by vacation rental managers. I'm Tim Cafferty, and I manage two companies, one in Virginia and one in North Carolina. And I'm one of the two T's.
And I'm the other T, Tiffany Edwards, born and raised in the vacation rental business. I help manage our family businesses from Key West all the way to Kauai.
In the next 30 minutes, we're going to give you our keys to success in the vacation rental business. We are back, and we are coming to you from the Data and Revenue Management Conference in Sandestin, Florida, right next to your house here. It's a great time in Florida.
Yeah, everyone thinks that it's so great when a conference is in your backyard, but apparently when you have a husband like mine, it just means that the door is open and revolving and everyone can come in. So instead of having a hotel bar for everyone to visit, it's my living room.
Now you tell me. Okay. I have not been to your house yet, but I think we might make an appearance before the trip is over. But we are here learning a lot about data and revenue management. It's been a great conference. Amy Highnote and the folks at VRM Intel have done a fabulous job. I think every year it just gets better. And to me, somebody was asking me who hadn't been to these conferences before. To me, looking at the audience, it's a much more sophisticated group of people that know a lot of stuff as you're sitting there looking around. There's no newbies around, so to speak.
No newbies. I had this conversation last night that that having any sidebar meetings are so elevated, and you know exactly what someone is talking about, the location. They've had some time within the business. They're understanding the same kind of struggles, and it's not just small talk. I mean, everyone's really cutting to the meat of the intention.
Yes.
So it's a great conference.
Well, I'm taking your word for it because I've been quite busy. I've
hot off the stage.
Yes, been sharing the hosting duties of the conference with Simon Lehman, who came in from Switzerland. And so he's on stage now while we're recording this, and they'll be looking for me in about 10 minutes. So
Agreed.
we're going to get on with it. And you remember last time we told the folks what we were going to do on this episode, and that is getting ready for the end of the year. It is December. The end of the year is on us. It's ticking like a time bomb, and we need to do some things before the year ends. So we have basically three areas we've kind of looked at, and we're going to start off with the one that's most important to me, and that's the financial part of the year end, because many of you listening are business owners and you have a vested interest in making sure your finances are just right by the end of the year. So where do you want to start?
Yeah, even if you're not the business owner, you're bonused out, or you have to have a job based on the business being successful, and the success comes from being able to make a reasonable profit.
Yes.
Hopefully not just reasonable, but being able to make a profit.
Yes.
So if you haven't already done your budget, what are you doing?
I know. I saw that on our list. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess that is there. We do need to do our budget. Well, I'm in the tweaking phase of my budget now. All my department heads had to give me their numbers by last week, and I'm looking at it going, how did you come up with that number? You know, so you have to make sure they're not sandbagging you on some things. And you know, wait a minute, this is only this cost last year. It's going to be this cost this year? Oh, well, I didn't think you'd see that one, boss.
Right, exactly. The budget, you need to allocate a significant amount of time, and that tweaking time frame needs to come in as well. But if you're asking for an increase, even a decrease, I want to know exactly why. And one of the things that we have to look at too in that tweaking phase is I want to look at all of our fees. What fees have we charged? I want to run market comparisons. What fees are other people charging? And how do we put that in? What are our new costs this year, or what have we been holding out on? So for example, in one of our businesses, we paid for all of our locks, but we need to actually start charging for the hosting of those locks. We need to up our fees.
I look at the financial, and obviously budget is there, and the goals that you have set, are they realistic? And can you break them down to a quarterly level so that everybody on the team understands we're pacing correctly, we're pacing ahead, we're pacing behind, we can do those kinds of things. But there's a number of other things that I think are sort of subliminal to the end of the year finance. One is very basic as a company owner. In January, you need to send out 1099s and W-2s. Do you have the information correct? All of the taxpayer ID numbers, all the addresses. Do you have the W-9s on the people you need to send a 1099 to? This is the time to do that because there are penalties in place if you don't get this done by the end of January. So you need to review all of those to make sure you don't have any unnecessary January scrambles.
Yeah. And if you are having some of those scrambles, do you have the right accounting team in place? Again, you can't be profitable if your accounting is not correct.
Yeah. I've got one that needs to be paid this Friday, and I submitted a request to my CFO, and she goes, I think you forgot something. I don't pay anybody without a W-9, Tim. Oh, yeah. I'll get that for you. So I'm going to get it before Friday.
Yeah. And one of the other things, too, with the budget is really trying to dive into our bonus structure. So as we start to talk about our strategic plan for next year, are we setting up a bonus structure that incentivizes to meet those goals of the strategic plan?
Absolutely. And you may have to set some budgetary items in January to pay off your bonuses that you are due at December, just saying that, oh, yeah, I didn't think you were going to hit that number. Yeah. So maybe we need to adjust. Another one I will say, end of the year, is a great opportunity for you to meet with your CPA and maybe your attorney as well. We'll talk about that in a minute, but with your CPA specifically, how did we do in 2025? Are we ahead of our numbers? Or are we behind the numbers? Another way I put it is, my CPA's name is Joe. Joe, do I need to go buy some stuff in the next 2 weeks? Because I don't want to pay the government. I'd just soon go out and buy something if I need to.
Absolutely. We do the same for vehicles. We love our vehicles and our mobile billboards. Yes. And so really doing an inventory of that. But yeah, go meet with your CPA.
Yes. And then on the attorney end of things, meeting with the attorney to make sure all of your contracts are in order, maybe with your vendors that you deal with, or how about your rental agreement itself? I don't want to go too far away from the financials before we finish it up, but how about your management agreement with your property owners and your lease agreement, if you have one in place, your rental agreement with your guests? Does that need to be tweaked before the end of the year? So good opportunity to meet with your attorney. But in my area, you need to meet with them before that week of Christmas, because the last 2 weeks of December, there ain't no attorneys around. The courthouse closes. They don't do any real estate closings. So the last 2 weeks of the year, there's no attorneys in town. So
as this comes out and you haven't done that and can't make that meeting, you better schedule it for the very beginning of January. So following in line also, financially, but also what you're committed to. If you haven't done an audit of all your contracts, housed them in one location, now it'll send off some alarms for a lot of your vendors, a lot of your providers, but make sure that you have requested and you have in hand and done a quick review of all of those contracts.
Love that. Speaking of reviews, as we move into kind of like inventory and rate strategy for next year, have you got a strategy? I'm here at Darm, and I'm asking myself that quite a lot here the last 2 days, because you get so much information. Is it going to be up? Is it going to be down? Are we going to grow? Are we going to shrink? What's the demand going to be? What's your rate strategy for next year? Have you adjusted those seasonal shifts based on the data you have for 2025? If you do that, you're probably going to be pretty safe, but there may be some issues going on in your particular market that's going to press the market higher, or maybe compress the market lower. Now's the time to be thinking about that and make sure your peak season rates reflect the competitive market set and any inflationary costs that you need to add in.
Yeah, 2026 is going to be different with holidays.
It is.
So, you have Easter a lot earlier than what it was this year, coming the first week of April, as opposed to the last. You really need to be looking at that and forecasting, especially as a booking window is getting shorter and shorter. And noticing, has there been any change in your guest booking window from year over year? So when Jason was on the stage yesterday, he had said that now reservations are coming a third or coming in 2 week time frame. So that certainly changes your rate strategy.
That'd be Jason Sprinkle from Key Data Dashboard. That was one of our faves. I can't help but think about this as well this time of year. Owner communication. Do you have all of the owner blocks in place for next year? Oh my God, I take July 4th every year, Tim. I can't believe you didn't block it. I'm not a mind reader. I'm sorry, I don't know what dates you want, but get them in right now.
I love this tip because I kind of forgot to think of that as a priority with my team. And in a lot of our houses, in several different businesses, we set goals for them, right? The same way that we would do with any of our team members because they're partners in this too. And so knowing what those owner blocks look like and what our projections are for them may be radically different based on when they're taking those days.
Very well. On that same subject of bug blocking, if you know that you're going to be doing a deep clean or there's maintenance that is already scheduled, maybe replacing a window or decks or whatever, making sure those maintenance blocks are in place as well to have that preventative maintenance and those major projects not on the booking calendar so you don't have an embarrassing scenario come with a guest checking in with no windows or something like that.
Yeah. Or there's roof. We've had a lot. It's been a couple years of roof replacements. So we've had to experience that. Looking at too the inventory, this is the time of the year that we really take a deeper dive into who are our winners, who are our losers. And I was excited at this conference. Speaking of Jason and Key Data, they have something coming out called Dex AI. One of our businesses is a guinea pig. What's a better terminology? Beta. Yeah. I'm sorry. I should know that being at the Data and Revenue Management Conference. But so they're beta, but it's incredible to see how the home is in comparison to our inventory, but also the marketplace. And so knowing those winners and losers, and then for us, part B of that is in doing a deeper dive, I think, into our descriptions. So we've talked so much about in general here and then outside of these walls is that every guest or every consumer is now trying to be very specific at what they're looking for. It's no longer, I want a 4-bedroom beach house. I want a 4-bedroom beach house that's 2 blocks away from my favorite restaurant that, comes with 2 bikes. And so looking at those descriptions and saying, are we hitting every highlight so that it can be picked up for a better distribution and demand?
Okay, so as you review those performing properties, maybe the top 5 and the bottom 5, what do you do with that info? How do you reward your top 5? Do you do anything special, or you just make sure everybody knows who those owners are when they call? And do you cut the bottom 5 loose? What's your philosophy on that?
So it depends on the business, but we like to call them our whales.
Yes.
And so you usually have, I'd say the top 10%, right? But yeah, top 5, you definitely need to be celebrated. But those top whales, they have our personal cell phones. You answer the phone every single time, handwritten notes at the end of the year saying their appreciation, making sure that the rental managers are connecting with them, but working with team to make sure that we show appreciation. The bottom 5, really understanding why are they the bottom 5? Were they blocked out for maintenance? Were they, new owners coming in? How much time were they really associated into that rental program? Or is it owners that we've just really liked for a long time and we've let them slide without any type of changes? And knowing from what has been presented here of the K economy of really high end is going to continue to hit really high end and drive demand, but the budget market is continuing to decline in terms of ADR. We just can't have those around. So we do have to make a lot of uncomfortable conversations to part ways with the bottom 5.
I would hope that when you compile these lists of top 5, bottom 5, I'm just using 5 as a term, could be 10%, could be 10 properties, could be whatever the number you choose, but I'm hopeful it wouldn't be a surprise on either end. It's not like you get to December 14th and go, oh, Mrs. Edwards is our top producing property. Could you have guessed that?
And if you're not tracking that, we can't see you.
Yes.
But take this internal note.
Yes. We need the keys jingling right now.
If it's here's what you need to be doing at the end of the year. If you've noticed and this is a surprise, we need to reevaluate.
Yes, we do. And on the bottom 5 as well, I think you said it appropriately. What's the reason? There usually is a reason. And if it's just like, as you know, my wife, Deb, is a general contractor, and we look at properties to buy. And I'll never forget, we went into a property, and Deb just turned to me and said, it looks like this house just gave up.
I feel that.
Yes. And it just gave up. I can't help it. And so that if you have some owners that have just given up, maybe that shouldn't be a surprise either. And you maybe need to do something about that. So, all right, let's move on to, how about listings? Now, we use third-party OTAs. Well, of course, we have our websites. When's the last time you looked at the pictures? Are they what you're supposed to have in place? You talk about descriptions, making sure those are in good shape, but you have to have the discipline to sit down and look at them, don't you?
Yeah, and if that seems too overwhelming, everyone has generic pictures that they use. It's time to probably update those generic pictures, right? You've had enough people. We'll have generic pictures up, not we. I mean, some of you out there, right, might have generic pictures up for several years. Change them out. Show other areas within your community that you may have access to. Send someone out. Go take pictures. Hire someone out. So at least just start there and create a little bit more variability with your property. So if all your condos have the same generic pictures and the same people are looking at those 2 bedrooms, you've lost me.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's probably an upcoming episode that my former podcast partner and I used to love to go through Verbo listings and see what's in place. Did you know that's what this says? That, particularly the ones that have like the specials still in place for Labor Day week. And today is December the 10th or whatever.
I love a picture of a toilet in an open cabinet. It
right.
never fails.
Oh my. Yeah, and actually we found one that when we looked at it, it was the outside shower was the money shot, and there was some technical glitch that we couldn't change it. And it literally was like a 3-month process going back and forth. But had we not looked at the inventory, we wouldn't have known. Thank God we found it before the property owner.
Yeah.
And he didn't look at it over those 3 months before we got it fixed. But sometimes you control what you can control, as I was told, and the other stuff you just have to let go.
And looking at listings too, Tim, at the end of the year right now, we are really taking a deeper dive to see what year-over-year change has been for our listings. So as some people have seen, their Airbnb listings have increased, maybe their Verbos have decreased, maybe their direct bookings. We're seeing overall our direct bookings, just in general as an industry have dropped, where people have become more reliant on search engines for those OTAs. So we're looking at that and where are we spending money, where are we spending our time? And then also as Airbnb has changed with their percentage and their fee transfer, the percentage that we are now charging, does it make sense for the marketplace? Mm. And is it affecting our reservations?
Mm-hmm. Something I do not do, but again, back to my former podcast partner, Sarah, she would send an annual report to each of her property owners discussing some of the things you just talked about there. How you rated, how many bookings you got through third party, how many direct, what kind of feedback we have for you. That seems like a lot.
Yeah, those are a whale, and maybe you pick out your percentages. I can't do it for quite. Or we've had in a past podcast the importance of knowing what type of owner you have. So the owners that do really well with those conversations, hand holding, need a little bit more or engage more on a partnership level, make sure that you have those reports for them.
Excellent. What are the kind of things are you looking at when you are looking? So the technical stuff is, we talked about the inventory and rate strategy toward the end of the year and looking to next year. Anything else on your list?
I think in general, just making sure that anything that you use for a software component, are using it to its best capability to create efficiencies in operations and to better protect. We also do an overall review and try at this time when owners are looking at their hopefully very successful portfolio for the year or their year in review. Is it time to make some necessary upgrades? And what are those? And having those conversations.
Mm-hmm. Do you do anything with regard to staffing review at the end of the year? Or is that, in other words, I know we have grown by X number of properties. I'm going to need 3 additional employees. What's your strategy on that? Do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, so we try to do twice a year full reviews. So kind of before season kicks off, and then at the end, making difficult decisions if we have to, because we've seen now what our financials look like. So if that's the case, or are we seeing, we try to do a review, do we have the right people in the right places, or do we need to move around some of their responsibilities based on their personalities and where the team works most efficiently, especially from a geographic standpoint, from what an owner needs standpoint is. So I think it's more so of a deeper dive on that perspective. And then again, looking at, what are they motivated by? Are they motivated more so by the bonus structure? Do we hit some of that for them in the next year? Have we incentivized them on in accolades? Do we need to do that a little bit more? So it's an internal review as well.
I would think that the budgeting process could be helpful on this as well, because if you have done it in the sense of sending it to each department head to create their own budget, it would be incumbent on that department head to say, hey, by the way, I need another Joe, or whatever the case might be, and you review that, and hopeful your people, HR would have a strategy in place to put them in. We actually do our reviews in the January timeframe, so I can see that tsunami coming my way, because I've said before, some of the listeners know I actually sit on every annual review of staff, and it takes the entire month of January because I have 48 of them. And so,
but that's so important. If you have the ability to do that, if you're localized, a lot of our partners who are localized can do that. I can't necessarily be everywhere, but it's so important because it ties you to the company and creates those relationships and those needs. You'll know within that review process, is that someone who really believes in your mission, or is someone who is showing signs and maybe a little BS?
Absolutely. I will give you one pro tip on that, although it may be a little bit off schedule here in terms of what we're talking about generally, end of the year, getting ready for the end of the year and what you need to do. This is the time of year I need to prepare for those January meetings. And so my HR person prepares what I call the total compensation sheet. And so when we sit with each employee, they know they made $15 an hour, and that equates to X. But what they didn't know is how much overtime did you have? How much paid time off did you get compensated for? How many bonuses did you get? What was your portion of the company food that I bought? How much health insurance reimbursement or coverage do you have? Fitness reimbursement. All the things that you as an employer pay for is on that sheet of paper, including FICA and Social Security and all that stuff. And the amount of eyeballs that look like saucers when they look at that sheet, from the top number, what you think you made, to what the bottom number is, as I say, what you cost me.
Right.
It's eye-opening.
That's so important. We have so many of those conversations because especially at this time of the year, and I know I said it in the last podcast, but people are stressed financially and all they see is a dwindling bank account because expenses are heavy, but showing what the actual take home is. We have the same in terms of reimbursement for cell phone, whatever it may be, or, so that it really comes into play and is important. Just like we share with our owners, all of the no charges you need to be showing.
Absolutely.
We do the same with our benefits, right? So every year our benefits go up and it's additional cost to us. It's additional cost to them, but we take on the majority of that cost. And so sharing that we're still partners with them.
Yep. And so as you only have maybe a couple of payrolls left, now's the time to start prepping that stuff so you can give the people on there. So I've got a segment on like maintenance and operations as we prepare for the end of the year. And I think it's more preventative type things that you may be scheduling out. Now's the time to be thinking about deep cleans. We told you about owner blocks and maintenance blocks. Well, let's get that deep clean scheduled, especially if you're a summertime destination. We don't want to do them all in April. Or May, for God's sakes. Let's see what we have. We can fit you in on February the 19th. How about that, Ms. Edwards? Would that work for you? Okay, let's get that on the schedule. So those whole recurring projects like HVAC inspections, water heater flushes, the deep cleanings, like I said, carpet cleaning, maybe you do cleaning of appliance coils. Those kinds of things can be scheduled now and keep your people busy before the end of the year, so you hit the ground running and you know what's happening at the start of the year.
Yeah, and what about just general touch-ups, right? Touch-ups of paint, making sure the floorboards where everyone brings their suitcases in and destroy the wall. How about we go ahead and refresh that? A lot of our maintenance technicians are a little bit slower right now, so making sure that you really get the home back into a pristine condition is key. And then the other thing too is really looking at overall, if you have an area or you have some type of system where you store all of the information for appliances, for water heaters, how old are some of those?
Yes. Yeah, new water heater, 2012.
Yeah.
In the
I just had I guess it's fresh. I just had right in the middle of you speaking, I had a phone call that came in and one of our water heaters caught on fire. So it's a little fresh right now, but
Sorry to bring up that.
Go
boss
check
up.
them.
But yeah, you look in your software, and in mine, it is a little tab that says assets, and you bring it up there, and whatever you put in there is still there. And I've got the serial number from that 2011 water heater that was replaced 3 times since then.
Yeah. And maybe your goal meeting with some of your property managers is picking at that middle market. So maybe that didn't quite make that 10% or the middle part of that 10% and see if they had a little extra coin there. Maybe it's their time they've met with their CPA and they need to spend some money as well. So
Great idea.
have those options ready for them.
Many of you do newsletters, and an end of the year newsletter with the bullet points on these might be a good opportunity for your people to stay busy in a slow season if you're not at a ski resort or it is indeed your slow season. So what I have here is your vendor management review at the end of the year. So many of you use cleaning contractors. What does that contract look like? Do the rates need to be updated? Again, back to your budget. Hopefully you already know those questions, but is it an opportunity for you to maybe negotiate with your cleaning contractors, your top maintenance vendors, your landscapers? Make sure you negotiate those rates before the new year. Ensure you have a clear written agreement and performance metrics with those folks before the year starts.
And I like to do a little year-over-year review. How much percentage have they increased since you've been their preferred vendor? Are you set in with a certain amount, or are they continuing to add more and more costs? Because you do need to look at that because your fees are not covering all of that. And that also becomes increasingly more expensive for your owners.
Key question to ask yourself is, are we still getting the best value and performance from these partners? One particular partner claimed a house. I saw someone cleaning my house. It ain't your house, honey. Yeah. It's my house, and you are my contractor, and I choose to call you as I need you. I'm going to use my employee on this house to keep that employee straight. My job's not to make sure you have a Christmas bonus
right
from me.
And those are hard conversations to have, but you have to remember that it's your business, and whether it's yours or not, you need to treat it like it is your business, and it has to make a profit.
Yeah, I love the idea they claim the house.
Yeah.
But, they really didn't have any grounds to do so. So that happened.
So one of my biggest ones for the end of the year actually moves in, and I don't know exactly what category because we've done our 3, but I feel like this is a bonus.
We can do a bonus.
This is a highlight bonus. This is the time to show your appreciation for the people that you work with.
Oh, wow.
So making sure, we talked about handwriting or doing something for your whales, but making sure that your teammates know that they are well appreciated, some type of personalized conversation. Everyone has a Christmas party, but is your Christmas party or your holiday party, is it what your employees want? Is it what your team wants? Are you spending genuine time? Are you thanking them? Are you showing recognition for the year end? Even if it's a hard year, they worked really hard and you need to make sure that you have some of those one-on-ones. This year I won't be able to do it, but last year I hit almost, I think, every single Christmas party in our markets. I was on the road a lot, but I think it's so important to get your face in front of people and just really thank them for a really strong year.
Excellent. That's a good one to end on. So I hope this is helpful to those of you out there still in a conundrum about what to do in the final days of the year. We've certainly given you a list of items that could fill those days between now and 2026, which is going to be on us before you know it. We'll have another podcast before the end of the year, though, so that's good news for you.
That is good news. And if you're too overwhelmed by all the to-dos that we gave you, feel free to share it with other people on your team and let them know what is their responsibility.
Yes, we'll take full blame. You could tell them, listen to this podcast and tell me what you're going to do. So if you're one of those people listening to this podcast because of that, we apologize. We hope this has been helpful. Until next time, I guess, good to see you in person, and we will be here in Florida for the next episode. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, back to the Darm stage, Tim, you go.
You have to go. So long, everybody.